Hi, my name's Rob O'Byrne and welcome to this next video on outsourcing to help grow your business. So we've covered quite a bit so far. We've talked about how to find VAs, how to recruit them, select them, different ways of doing the training, how you're going to actually manage things in the first week or so. Now I'd like to talk about pay, because that's pretty important. That's why they're doing this work. They may love working with you and they love your products and services, but at the end of the day, they have to make a living. So let's talk about pay. First of all, be fair. Okay, you're getting a great deal because you're generally hiring people at a much lower cost, maybe 10% than it would cost in your own country. So you need to pay a fair rate. So don't be mean. I'm always getting told off for sort of being the opposite, but never mind. So be fair. Now, how do you know how much to pay? We talked earlier on about home-based VAs and office-based VAs. Now, I'll give you a rough indication, but obviously it depends very much on the role. It's going to vary a lot, and it depends, when you're watching this video, if this was recorded a year or two ago. So for a home-based, and I'll put this in US dollars, you're probably sort of $350 to $450 per month. Something like that. For an office-based, you're probably looking at sort of 700 to 1,000 a month, possibly. That wouldn't be double that, maybe 900, something like that. Just very rough figures. So, why the difference in the figures? Let's explain. So if you think about the home-based VA for a start, they have no overhead. They may not be paying health insurance, anything like that. The money is basically just going into their pocket, and that's why they can actually do it cheaper. For the office-based, let me just say, if you're picking an office-based VA, do check them out. Check out the company. Make sure I started out using a large BPO, and I found they actually weren't that ethical. So do check out, try to get some references for the company that you're looking at. The benefits of an office-based are fairly significant, and I'll cover those in a minute. It's going to cost you a little bit more because I'll talk about my office for an example. They're getting, paid this, but they're also then getting health insurance. They're getting gym membership. They're getting holiday pay. They're getting a team leader to support them. That's a thing to watch out with office-based VAs. Try to find out what the team leader's job is, because in a lot of the big BPOs, the team leader has their own, team leader or supervisor, has their own client, as well as supervising maybe up to 20 VAs. In our office, team leaders don't have clients. They are there purely to support their team, and they only have about 10 VAs. So they're actually supporting each of the VAs in their roles and so on. So you've got, what are all of these additional costs? We talked about health insurance. That is so important. One of my team had to go into hospital for an operation a couple of weeks ago. The company health insurance paid for it all. I'm so glad to hear that. So health, our guys have gym membership. There's all the IT support. There's all the HR support. All of the relevant taxes and so on are being paid to make sure that they're legal. We've got the supervision. We've got the training. So there's a fair bit of additional cost that goes into the office-based VA. In our office, for example, we have backup power. We actually have a generator sitting right outside the office. Some areas in the Philippines that they get brownouts and things like that. You're also getting leave cover generally. So when your VA is going on leave, they're getting paid leave. You get someone else to cover. Some of the benefits also of an office-based one are that if you suddenly get a peak in workload, they may be able to, provide extra staff for you for whatever period that you need. So that's really just explaining why these costs are very often sort of double those costs, but there are an enormous amount of benefits. The other difference that I've found with home-based VAs, and I don't want to be unkind here, I've had home-based VAs that were supposed to be working for me full-time, and they quite clearly weren't. They had 2 or 3 clients. I also had a home-based VA who had to work really strange hours because of her sort of living environment. And that just didn't work, and the internet was terrible, and that didn't last. So I only do office-based now. It's just so much more professional and so much easier to manage. So we're talking about pay. What you should be doing is going online and doing a bit of a check around. Whether you're going for home-based or office-based, do your research and see what's a fair rate. Because you don't want to be, you certainly don't want to be mean, but you certainly don't want to be sort of paying way over the odds either. So do your research for home-based and office and find out sort of what the fair pay rates are. There's a couple of other things that we should talk about with pay, and also that is bonuses. So I haven't actually talked about countries yet. I suppose I don't want to be down on any particular country. There are a number of different countries where you can source VAs. I know people have them from India. Friends of mine have VAs based in Eastern Europe, and they're terrific. To my mind, the big hub of outsourcing is the Philippines, and it's the Philippines for a reason. That is that the Filipinos have a great work ethic. They generally have really good English language skills, if indeed that's what you need. And they're just really good, honest people to work with. So yeah, that's my preference, and it's probably why the Philippines leads the world really on sort of outsourcing. Let's talk about bonuses a bit. If you are home-based, that's a little bit easier for you to manage. If you're office-based, I've had an office-based VA where I was paying bonuses, and then I found out that they were taking 3 months to get to the VA. Didn't exactly make me very happy, to be honest. That relationship with that BPO didn't last long. All of this is partly, and all of these benefits and things, partly the reason that I set up my own BPO, to be honest. And without going into a long story, I'll share that with you now. I started off with 2 or 3 VAs in a large BPO. I didn't like the way they were being treated and the way it was being run. And so I thought I'll set up my own. They worked out their contracts. It was all done properly. We set up our own business. We had 4, I think, to start with. The team who now looks after me has grown to 8. I think I have there's another 6 who look after other elements of my business. And then what we did is we started to grow the business with additional staff to actually help other businesses, other small business owners. And so the team is just growing and growing. And I just like to know that it's run properly, to be honest. Okay, let's get back to the subject of bonuses. I got some really terrific advice at a seminar the other day. I love going to seminars and learning stuff. You're never too old to stop learning. And this guy was talking about how to motivate staff and how to reward them. And his view was that you shouldn't reward outcomes, you should reward effort. And think about that for a moment. He's so right. So if you're rewarding, I need this website built by 30 June. Oh, great. There's a bonus. Or I need this thing designed by 15th of July. Oh, you've done it. Well done. There's a bonus. You're kind of training people to expect that there's going to be a reward every time they do a big task, which is probably not a good behavior to encourage. So what this guy was saying is reward effort, and that's what I tend to do now. So, if some of the team I'll give you an example. One of my team's really good with systems, and I said, look, is there any way we can integrate this system and this system so that when something happens here, our our contact management system automatically gets updated, and then something over here does, and like 3 days later she said, yep, it's all done. Wow. And there was a few things that had happened, and so, you know, I would give a small bonus and say, hey, look, that's, you know, being really innovative and you've done some great stuff there. So I tend to reward effort where people have stepped up and learnt new things, or, you know, they put in a particular effort for you know, whatever reason. The way to pay bonuses, and my experience is mainly now with the Philippines. So let's talk about the Philippines. Not everybody has a bank account. We make sure all our people have bank accounts and that they save and all of those things. That's another story. They're not necessarily going to have a bank account, so they generally don't have PayPal and things like that. Western Union is the easiest way to do this. You pay a little bit of commission. You know, look, don't go nuts, but if your team, if your staff have really put in a great effort, and, you know, really done some great work for you, small bonuses are really, really appreciated, you know. And I should add, actually, wherever your VAs are based, so all mine are in the Philippines, at some stage get over there, understand the culture, understand the working environment. You know, you'll feel a lot closer to your team, and, you know, you can see what a $20, $30, $40 bonus can do, you know. Goes a long way, I can tell you. So bonuses are really important. There is... I was trying to think what this was called, because I also have a business up in Thailand, and up there they have a similar sort of process whereby at Christmas there's an extra month's pay. So you need to be aware of these cultural things. Basically there's sort of a rice bonus in the Philippines, and traditionally you know, staff would have been given a 25, 50 kilo bag of rice or whatever to take home at Christmas. This has virtually now become like a 13th month bonus. So be aware of these things. So, you know, it's probably expected. You know, check that out, whether it's home-based or office-based. Do your own research, and be prepared that you may need to pay that. So, but again, you're not paying a huge amount anyway. So just factor that into the cost. Okay, so that's all about pay. I think we'll talk maybe a little... No, I was going to talk about tools and training next, but we've kind of covered that. Let's just move on to the next video, and we'll summarize.